What's going on, people? So similar like I did with some other video not too long ago, I'll leave the shoes in the box so that way I remember to talk about the box, because the box is actually pretty decent looking. So first off though, side of the box though, get you that picture right there for the one person that cares to see it. So there's that for you. But like I was saying, as far as like the box itself goes, right, you got like the blue Jumpman thing, you know, this whole blue-black situation going on, which I think is pretty alright. Open this guy up here, you got this little cement style thing with some more of the blue and the black. You got some more of that over here on the paper. It's pretty alright. And yours may or may not come with a Shop Nice Kicks invoice, right? That's where this pair of shoes came from. In case anybody was curious, I believe that covers pretty much all the backstory for the most part. But let's go ahead and get these things out of here so I can actually talk about them, do this review thing. Now, as is often the case with things that I feel are just repetitive and unnecessary, I'm not going to talk about all the things about these, right? Not going to give that full breakdown because I just don't see a reason to. I mean, I've covered some 5s before. They're pretty much all the same. They just swap out the colors. And besides, the people that watch this channel, they're not coming here for the Jordans. The people that are going online for Jordan videos, they are going somewhere else. I know that because I see these little stats and such. And these numbers tend to be a little ways more down here. It's fine though. I'll share my thoughts with the people that care to hear them on this right here. This is the Air Jordan 5 in the UNC colorway. Plain and simple, right? So anyways, down there on the bottom, what you're looking at down there, it's kind of like going to be your standard outsole or whatever. One of the things I do like about these, even though it is overall plain, I do like that clear piece that they have on like the front piece, and it's on the back too, sure, but more so on the front because like that's where you got the Jumpman thing, right? Anyways, moving along up here and all that good stuff, you have the midsole, which is pretty decent. It's got a little design on there towards the front piece, you know. From what I was told by somebody at some point, that's supposed to be something like the flames that come out of jets when they're flying around or something. I mean, that could be a thing. Does anybody out there have a favorite jet? Feel free to leave that down below. I don't. I only bring that up because there was like an air show here recently. People, oh my god, it's the something something. And I'm like, I don't care one bit. Like, not at all. You know? Some things you just don't care about, and I just feel like I can't either. Either way, so moving along past that, let's get you some more pictures in here, start rounding things off and all that good stuff, right? Because even though there's not a whole lot to talk about, I do have some things that I'm going to say, but the 2 pictures in the front, they'll largely get your mind where it needs to be as far as how you feel about these. Then again, these aren't new. They actually just restocked yesterday from what I saw. But either way, I just like to share some things with the people real quick that I feel like are worth talking about. So before I go jumping on into the personal thoughts, the one thing I'll say, obviously, you saw it. This whole thing, it's all blue suede, right? So you got that happen everywhere. The only places where you don't have the suede or the blue would be like these little plasticky mesh type pieces under the tongue and on the side. But otherwise, like when you look at the laces are blue. As those work their way up to the top, you got like the blue thing, which I kind of hate in a way because it looks kind of cool, but I hate that it flops around when I'm walking and then it like gets all turned upside down and it's a bad aesthetic, right? But yeah, so basically everything's all blued out and whatnot, and, you know, it's like a Halsey song in some ways. But either way, also, you got the big 3M going to be up here at the top because that's a thing that's on 5s, right? So if you don't want to be noticed, maybe don't buy 5s, or if you do, don't wear them where there's light. But anyway, so one other thing on the back here, right, that is just a little bit different because I got this little patch, which I was just talking about a similar patch anyways. Whole Jordan greatest player ever thing, again, that's Dennis Rodman. I don't know who told them this, but they've been spreading this falseness for years. Either way, also one thing that is kind of cool, take a quick look onto the inside. You got this weird little pattern thing going on. It's not satin, but it almost feels like that just because of like how smooth it is and all that good stuff. So I do like it, and it's on the back of the tongue as well. So you can kind of see that, right? And also, while you're looking at the tongues, on the back of each of them, they both have some different words. One says heart, one says soul, if I recall correctly. So there's that. Not a whole lot to really say about the visual other than that. But I will throw this one thing out there as something to think about. One thing that I noticed because I ended up with more than one pair of these, but the one thing I noticed was like they all have some kind of blemish up on these. You know how they have this little tumor situation going on for whatever reason at the top, right? Based on however they may be laid down in the box and how much care went into like them as they were being shipped, you might have a lot of like rubbing that was going on up here on these pieces. So some of these, it's going to be a little more, it's going to be a little easier to see than others. But just know that if you order a pair of these or buy a pair of these or whatever, they're probably not going to come out super pristine because of that. But from what I was looking at, like a personal opinion, like when I was looking at these earlier, you might be able to just kind of like rub this a little bit to kind of like make that not look so bad. You know, just like with your finger, because it is still suede. But wash your hands first so you don't get all this like nasty oily stuff on your shoes, you know? Got to be careful about that. But it's just something I say, something to think about. But past that, I think that's really everything I needed to say about these. Just wanted to throw that out there real quick. But personal thoughts. Let's go ahead and do that because that makes sense. Personally, I'm liking these. I am. Like, 5s are definitely one of my top 3 Jordans, right? You know, you got 12s, you got 7s, you got 5s. That's me, right? Everything else is equally after that. And so I saw these coming around and I was thinking, okay, this might be a little hard to get because sometimes that UNC color just pulls out extra fans. But no, it was surprisingly easy, which was weird because I just didn't see that coming. It could have been the price, maybe, sure, whatever. But at the end of the day, I got them, and once they arrived, all 3 of them, unfortunately, I was like, yeah, these are really, really nice. So I'm not going to oversell it like it's something you really need to go out and buy or whatever, because the 5 is still like a bulky look, and if you don't like the look, then you won't like the shoe, right? It's not going to be any better just because it's a cool color. You may not even like blue. But to me, when I look at these, even though they do have like a lot of things that go against what I would go for as far as like high tops and bulkiness, something about the 5, like they just look fine to me. I don't know what it is. So when I saw these up close, like with the nice coloring and like the inside is kind of cool, didn't quite know that was going to be a thing. And then the suede makes it a little different, so that's pretty nice, you know. So all in all, this is a purchase that worked out pretty well. So I've got no complaints about it. I mean, the price was a little higher than I would have wanted it to be, but I think at this point in life, all prices are a little higher than I want them to be. We can probably all agree to that. But all in all, if you're looking at getting a pair of these, I don't think you're going to be in for any surprises. If you see the pictures, they live up to the pictures. So see that, make your determination there, and do whatever makes sense with your money. But outside of that, the one thing that I'll kind of loop back around for is when I did buy these, right? The reason I ended up with extras was I was on the sneakers webpage, right? The Nike.com. And I was in there and it's all like, oh, you're in line. And I was like, yeah, I've seen this before. I know how that plays out, right? Because it'd been going for a while. And then I saw like, well, you know what? Shop Nice Kicks has them in stock. So I'm just going to make this order because I don't trust this. And so then, as soon as I finished with this one, the Nike goes right through. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's something, I guess. So that's kind of on me for being a little impatient. But the thing was, like, I wanted it, and I didn't want to, like, not have it if it's, you know, if I readily have the option, right? So there was that piece of it. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. But then there was number 3, which was in the back of my mind, well, way in the back, because it was like, yeah, completely forgot, honestly. I had an entry for a raffle on End clothing, and I had gone to cancel that days before, but like they weren't listing the shoe anymore. So okay, maybe that went away. But I kept telling myself I should probably go check. I just forgot. So then after all this dust settles, like later that day, I get this email from End, and they're like, "Hey, you won the raffle." And I'm like, "Of course I did. Of course I did." And that box eventually arrived, and I never even opened it. I sat it somewhere on the side. It's still right there where I sat it. And I have long passed that return policy period on that, so there's that. I'll deal with these one way or another. One of these is probably going off onto the eBay world, though. Probably this one. Either way, sizing is next. Let's talk about some sizing. I bought these in a 9, right? Which is not my true to size. Normally my true to size would be 9.5. But the thing about this is that, to me, Jordan shoes often are a little bulky, a little big, right? So On a lot of them, I'll go down a half a size. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily for this particular model. It's just a thing that I did. So when I say I suggest true to size for these, if you know me, you might be thinking like, you didn't buy true to size. Like, that's why I say that, right? So that's going to be my suggestion. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that sometimes with different models, well, different variations of the same model, color-wise or material-wise, I should say, they can fit a little bit different, but I feel like true to size for a lot of people is going to be fine, at least if you have feet like mine anyways. But past that, the comfort of them, I'm really just not a huge fan of it, honestly. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. I guess you get used to it maybe. But they are a big, bulkier type of thing, right? So if you're like me and you wear a lot of running shoes, trainer type things, this is going to be very different, and it's going to take some adjustments. And past that though, like the midsole and all that stuff, like you got a little bit of air in there, so it's not like awful. But again, like I'm just used to things that are built for comfort. So when I say that these are not comfortable to me, I mean it, but at the same time, I want you to understand why I'm saying that. Compared to other Jordans, I don't know how they do because I don't wear a whole lot of them. But I'm just saying, if you are thinking about wearing a pair of these all day, maybe think twice or 3 times or 4 times until you determine that you should wear something else all day. Just gonna put that out there for you. But otherwise, like, they do look cool when you're wearing them, so you at least got that going for yourself now, don't you? At least that's my opinion. But past that, there's not a whole lot else to really talk about with like the sizing or comfort, so I'm just gonna wrap this whole thing up because I'm done talking about things. So, from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm done recording things for today. Almost done recording things for like a while. But then, the editing, that's the worst part. Later, people.